Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to ForeverCraft. Today, we're building an iron farm right there. I can't point because the camera angle and stuff, but that way. I want to put the iron farm right over here. And well, it's gonna have some pretty basic materials in it. We're gonna keep going with this like mossy cobblestone, mossy cobble, nice and like brown and muddy and mossy. We're gonna keep that going over here on the iron farm. So it's really just gonna be a big boulder over here up on this hill. But I need to figure out how we're gonna tie it into this little landscape here and how we're gonna make it mob proof. Because the biggest downside to doing like an aesthetic iron farm is that you need to make sure that no golems can spawn anywhere in the radius. Because as soon as a golem spawns, no more will spawn and the whole farm breaks. So we need to make sure underneath the ground there are no caves that it can spawn in. So like this, for instance, this all needs to be spawn proofed, or at least, you know, any areas that a golem could fit need to be spawn proof. So we can do that with leaves, we can do that with path blocks, and we can do it with like moss carpets and things like that. So we need to get really creative with like trees and bushes and leaves, and I want it to not look just like a big carpet of moss grass. First off, I'm gonna get the area nice and level and easy to work with so we know like where we're gonna place the build, and then I think I'll build just the structure to start, and that'll give us kind of a good idea of what kind of area we actually need to spawn proof to make the whole thing function. So first things first, let's build a boulder. Okay, so after some contemplation, I actually think I'm gonna build the actual like functional part of the farm on the inside first. So as you can see, I'm kind of blocking it out in cobblestone here because this is all gonna get covered by a big rock. Because I think it's gonna be a lot easier to put a zombie and the villagers in now versus when we have a full structure and we're digging through blocks. So we got a zombie here. Let's just get him real quick. This should be easy peasy. Is he gonna cooperate first try? Obviously not. I would hit you so hard if I had the ability. Typically I would build more of like a drop tube or something for this, but I just was hoping to get kind of lucky here with this guy. Let's put more of a wall here. Let's give him another way up. All right, let's see if we can get him to drop here. So I don't think his AI understands because it's a trap door, right? Oh, he should want to come to me. Come on. Oh, it's so close. Hit me. There it is. Look at that. That was easy. Exactly how I planned it. All right, let's go run over and grab an name tag real quick. I think I already had one. It's actually probably already named and everything. Should have grabbed that in my resources, but as the sun was setting, I was like, you know what? This is actually the perfect opportunity to get our zombies squared away. And then I was like, well, you know what? Actually, we should just get the village. There it is. Name tag. Looks like it's not named. I name all of my zombies Bob. I don't know why, I just always have. We'll go name tag Bob and then we'll cover him up with cobblestone so that way he can't burn up. Although, if they're in a bubble elevator, can they burn up anyway? I'm not sure, but I'm also not gonna risk it. Hello, Bob. We'll just do this real quick. This is gonna be hoppers, obviously, because, you know, that's how that works. All right, now we can get our villagers in here and we're gonna spawn a golem or two because we're gonna have the zombie already in here, but as long as we kill that zombie, or as long as we kill that iron golem, the farm will pick back up and start working. So we might have one or two wandering around annoying us while we're trying to get the build done, but I think this is still a better solution than digging a hole in the side of our rock and getting the zombie on the inside. I'm gonna go get the villagers, get them in here, and then get back to building our boulder. Hello, this is Editor Cobb from the future. Apparently I don't know how to use OBS anymore, so I messed up these few next sections of recording. I was able to recover them through flashback, so it is first person gameplay, but you're gonna notice that my hotbar looks weird and the camera movement is like slightly smooth. This was better than not showing any of the footage and skipping ahead to the end. Anyway, sorry. Back to your video. All right, the iron farm is complete. But it's kind of ugly right now. So the next step of this process is to convert most of these path blocks into some other spawn-proof block. I think leaves are pretty practical. I want to go with a lighter leaf, so I think this is oak leaves. So I'm going to try to collect a bunch of oak leaves. We can use buttons, which we've used kind of all over this. So I'm thinking just some like buttons on the ground kind of around the farm itself. I do think that some path blocks mixed in here can be nice. And we'll definitely get some coarse dirt to put the buttons on as well. So the area around the actual rock itself might be like coarse dirt, buttons, moss carpets, and then we'll just do some like leaf piles. We could actually plant some trees, I thought about. And then under the trees, we could have like trampled ground. I don't know, we've got to mix and match a whole bunch of spawn-proof stuff right here so that this thing can work and not spawn golems all over the place, but also, you know, look cool. All right, I think that was pretty successful. What do you think? The buttons are a little bit much, so I didn't use a lot of them, but the leaf blocks and the trees and mixing the moss, when you're walking around, which is the perspective that I usually care about, feels really cool in here. You got a little bit of water puddles, so you get the reason for the moss to exist. Yeah, we got like little bunches of leaves. The trees, we left only a 2-block. I don't think the golem will spawn on a 2-high, so we were able to put normal grass under those to help kind of encroach on some of this path block area. Realistically, we're never going to go to the farm because we're going to access it from underground. So I just needed to look decent from the walking path here. And actually, now that I'm looking right here, this is very bare. I don't want the build to be obscured, but I also don't want it to look like it's... There we go. I don't want to obscure the build with grass, but I do want to have a little bit of coverage just so it's like an interesting boulder in the forest line. So as you're walking through here, you kind of get a glimpse at it. And you're like, oh, that looks different and out of place, but also like it belongs here, if that makes sense. All right, iron farm complete. That is going to be huge. Let me go underground real quick and show you how this thing functions. Did I mention that I've been absolutely grinding villagers in the background of all this? I haven't shown much of this because it's super boring and just kind of necessary for early game, but yeah, if you're hearing villagers constantly, this is why. I also moved our pumpkin patch under here so that when I'm AFKing, I can trade with the villagers, kind of grab pumpkins whenever I feel like it. All right, so we actually are auto crafting our iron, which is pretty convenient. I don't remember why I put a crafting table here. We did have golems spawning down here in the brains of the operation, so we had to fix that. But yeah, you got the iron comes into this crafter, which is, you know, iron bars, and it's crafting it into iron blocks. Don't worry about that head. Nothing to see there. And then, yeah, we use a comparator against a full crafter. So this one's got all the boxes checked in it. And that just tells this that it needs to have a full hopper before it can, or a full whatever you want to call it, before it can send a signal to pulse it. And then over here, we're taking the poppies and we're just dropping them. We're using just a kind of a standard item filter to get all the poppies sorted out of there. Drop them down into a composter, and then, yeah, we get some bone meal. Who cares? I don't really need bone meal, but it's the most efficient way to, like, store a bunch of poppies, because they will fill up a chest really quick. So I figured if we just convert them to bone meal, then we won't have to empty that as often. All right, iron farm complete. That is, like, essentially our last early game step, which means I want to go to the end. Now, I'm not going to be, like, a huge elytra user early on, but I really want shulker boxes. It's so frustrating. What I've been doing so far is I will get all of my resources together, put them in a barrel for the build, then I'll put barrels down at the build and kind of like move the resources back and forth, and it just takes a bunch of trips. Shulker boxes are just such a quality of life, especially as we move over the hill here to bigger and better projects. Well, bigger anyway. We're gonna need a whole bunch of shulkers, especially just for like, one of the first major steps we need to do is carve out a bunch of materials here. We need to cut down all the trees, and we're going to actually carve off the top of this hill. So we're going to get a bunch of dirt and stone, and we're going to want shulkers while we're doing that. So I've got some ender pearls here somewhere. There we go. I've got 16 and 2. Now, hopefully this is enough to find an end portal and open it. My concern is that we might be too close to the end portal they've already found in this world in previous seasons, and I really want to find a new one because I think doing an end portal build could be fun. So I'm hoping that these will lead us to a new portal. If it leads us to their portal, then it is what it is. We'll find a new one later, but for now, I just want to find out where is our nearest portal, and then, yeah, go from there. And then again, hopefully this is enough ender pearls, because I really don't want to go find more. We got plenty of blaze rods the other day when we went in there to get stuff to cure the villagers. I'm actually not going to bring anything else. They've already killed the dragon, so we're not going to be fighting the dragon. And Plato wants to go look for an elytra later, because he's anxious to get his so we can get to his build. His build's like up on a hill, so he doesn't want to be jumping up and down constantly to get to his stuff. So for now, I just want to find the portal, and then later on, I'll go get some elytra and some gear. And I'll probably put some clips of that in after this, but for now, let's see where we can find this thing. All right, let's sleep. We don't want to bring a bed because when we leave the end, we'll come back here, right? So that makes sense. We don't want to mess with that. And then what else? We're going to want a boat probably, most likely. Usually this is over some body of water, so we'll bring a boat too. We've got food, torches, and again, we're not going to fight the dragon. We're not going to go searching the end for elytras or anything right now. We just want to find the portal. Later on with Play-Doh, we'll go end busting and try to find some elytra and get a whole bunch of shulker shells, hopefully. Okay, let's try to think. I know that their world is mostly north of here, so I'm really hoping that when I throw this Eye of Ender, you know what, actually, just to give ourselves the maximum chance, I want to go over here into this little field. All right. I'm really hoping that when we throw this Eye of Ender, it does not go that way. That would be a bad sign. I want it to go anywhere really in this direction. Should be mostly uncharted territory, but moment of truth. Okay, that is actually perfect, because I think it's either south or west, and we got our thing back, which is great. All right, and now we begin the long trek. Hopefully not too long, because we've only got 18 of these. And I have had terrible luck with end portals in my last few playthroughs, and I've needed like all 12 to activate the stupid things. So we're going to run for a little bit and see where things go. Well, my pearl finally switched directions. Unfortunately, this terrain is absolutely insane. We've been really lucky and we haven't lost an eye yet. I think I want to get up on that cliff before I throw again because, I mean, there's a cave system here. There's a pretty likely situation in which that leads to it. And it's a lush cave. I think do we need any blocks from a lush cave? I could use some glowberries. I'm gonna have to get those while we're here. So annoying. I think that might have gone on the ground right here, but honestly, this powdered snow is driving me absolutely crazy. I couldn't get a good look at it, and we just lost our first one. But we're close, so we should be okay. Need to get a little bit further away so I can see where this thing actually goes. I want to say it went right straight under my feet. Is there a good way to get rid of powdered snow? Shovels are slow. Maybe buckets? There we go. Okay, let's throw this thing. Going back in that direction. Well, we might lose it. Of course, it had to be in a powdery snow hellscape. All right, it seems super likely that this thing is in this cave. Woo! Wasn't even worried. The question is, how far do we go in here? Or should we just dig straight down? I'm worried that if I like traverse the caves themselves, we'll do this a little bit, but we're gonna like lose track. Well, I guess I can look at our coordinates. Oh, man, this is a treacherous cave. So we're just looking for like nether brick. We're just looking for stone brick or something to give us a sign here. Is this kind of the bottom of the cave? This feels like such weird generation. Keep seeing tough and thinking that it's stone brick. Uh-oh. That skulk. Does this not look weird? Wait, do they not expose? I wonder if is it literally right here? Do they not expose the blocks anymore? I swear you used to be able to just find it. Yeah. Oh my word. Look at this. They like perfectly encapsulate it in deep slate. I didn't know that. I thought you could still find it exposed if it was in a cave, but there must be something that like hides it. Yeah, look, there's no... What is that? Yeah, they like perfectly don't show it. Oh gosh, baby zombies, we gotta be careful here. Oh no, we don't have blast protection. All right, I need to stop panicking here. Eat something. Water bucket. Well, now you know. You can't just stumble upon an end fortress. Was that what these are called? End fortresses? I can't remember. Oh, this is covered in skulk too. It's interesting. I don't think the skulk is gonna hurt us. Man, I've really I've never dealt. Oh, look at that. That's the fastest I've ever found a portal. For sure. I don't really know much about skulk, if I'm being honest. I think it's a hoe to pick it up. Huh. I unfortunately don't have a hoe with me. Do we have any iron on us or anything? No. Oh, we can make a diamond one. Oh, no, we can't. I didn't bring my... Dang it. Well, we're gonna come back here a bunch anyway, so I guess it's not a big deal. The one thing I didn't do, which I always remember to do and somehow didn't, usually I'll bring enough obsidian to make another portal here. That way getting back is much easier, because like when we exit the end, we'll be fine, right? I'm gonna break this real quick. Because like when we exit the end, we'll be fine, because we're gonna go back to our bed at the house. But getting back here, because now we're, you know, I think we're like 2,000, we're probably like 3,000 to 4,000 blocks away from where we were building. So usually I'll bring enough to make a portal here, and then it's easy to link up later. But I guess we could still technically travel back here in the nether, but our portal might be on the roof, and then we'll have to dig back down in here. So I guess that's not too big of a deal, but let's actually get some blocks, because I just remembered that Plato actually deleted his end island. So we're not gonna be able to make it to the portal to get home, because it's gonna be floating off into the middle of nowhere. It's a pretty epic build, which you're gonna see here in 1 minute after I get some blocks. All right, we've got some blocks, and as predicted, not one single eye for us. Luckily, somehow we only lost 2, and technically only 1 broke. The other one, I just literally lost it. I couldn't find where it fell. Oops. Ooh. Like I said, dragon's already dead. The end has been defeated in this world. But we still found our own portal. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the other side. Whew. That is always sketchy. It is very unsettling to enter the end dimension and be just floating over there with some blocks. I hate the void. I mean, it's one thing to die and lose your stuff in lava. It's one thing to die and lose your stuff somewhere very far away and obscure. But to lose your stuff in the void is an immediate game over. So yeah, this is Plato's end build. Pretty cool. He's got all his villager trades in here. He's got all that stuff set up, but we've got our own thing going on. We found the portal. We're all linked up. We'll come back later with Plato and get ourselves an elytra and some shulker boxes. Let's head home. That was easy. Home sweet home. I hate traveling, don't you? And there it is. Look at that haul. We got a bunch of backup elytra. We got our main one with unbreaking and mending. We got 15 shulker boxes. It's not great, but honestly, for what we're going to do in the next few episodes, that's probably enough. I definitely want to go back and get like a whole bunch of shulker shells, but that's pretty good. We got some ender pearls, some diamonds. Not too bad. I mean, we didn't go super hard because it took us a long time to find this first elytra. Unfortunately, a lot of the end cities that we ran into had been looted already. Supposedly they had reset the end dimension not too long ago, because every once in a while they'll purge chunks that there aren't builds and stuff in, just to keep the like file size for the actual world they're building here down. But apparently we just got really unlucky, or those didn't get cleared, because we went to like 5 or 6 cities before we found one that hadn't been looted. But we got our elytra, we got a few more backups, and we got some more gear from the end, so that's awesome. Iron farm's up and running, kicking us out a whole bunch of iron. We got it nice and decorated. We got our elytra so we can fly around. We've got some shulker boxes so we can collect all materials. That means next episode, we're gonna start building something big. Just kidding. We have so much work to do before we start building that stuff, unfortunately. I've got to clear a whole bunch of land, and I've got to cut down a bunch of these trees. I really want this next build area to feel like an encapsulated build that's all like in its own environment. And to do that, I need to like clear out any of the trees that are gonna poke up around the edges of the build and kind of spoil it. I also need to flatten the top of that hill at least 10 blocks for a pretty large radius, so I might go get a beacon next episode. I know, we're cranking through this early game progression, but I think it's gonna be worth it to get a beacon. If we can find a decent end city, now that we have an elytra and we can fly around this crappy nether spawn that we have, I think finding another fortress that isn't already looted is gonna be a lot easier, and I think we just get some wither skulls and we fight the wither next episode. And then we start digging and chopping. We'll see if we get anything built next episode. It might just be a total work episode. We'll see. But that's all we had time for this one. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.